Yes, folks, good evening. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's build-up time for tomorrow's game against Kilmarnock at Celtic Park. First of all, good to be back. Good to be back making content. Obviously, I was ill most of the week. It meant no starting 11 prediction on Tuesday, and it meant I missed the game on Wednesday, which I was absolutely gutted about. It's the first game I've missed all season, apart from Ibrox, obviously, because there was no fans there. So I was absolutely gutted to miss it. The first home Champions League game of the season, lying on the couch watching it, sick as a dog. And then I watched it play out and I ended up even more sick. What a heartbreaking outcome. I thought the performance was good. Again, it's just another one of these stories, I suppose, for Celtic in the Champions League, like Feyenoord, but worse, where we have an encouraging performance. We control spells of the game, but we come out with a defeat. Unlike the Feyenoord game, I don't want to be as critical as I was after that game, both in terms of the players and the recruitment, because I think the way it played out, I think Brendan Rodgers certainly had the team set up tactically very well. I think the second half we really controlled it and we looked like the team that was going to go on and win the game. Obviously we get the second goal through Palma and it gets ruled out for offside, which is really unlucky because it takes that nick off Maeda. Maeda doesn't need to touch it. It doesn't even change the flight of the ball. It's just totally unfortunate. And it obviously rules it out because Palma's made his move from Johnson's pass and he's miles offside as Maeda touches it. And that obviously deflated the crowd because we thought we had the winner. But even after that, it looked like Lazio from about 70 minutes were just comfortable with a draw. They weren't even closing us down. They were just sitting, letting us play. Maybe at times we were a wee bit too slow and trying to build the game, but that's kind of been a symptom all season. But then inside the last minute, big punt up the pitch, Carter Vickers gets caught on it, 4 players round about him, Johnson's further up the pitch on the right hand side, they work it down the left, Guendouzi picks out Pedro. It's a great header, but again, just heartbreaking how close he is to being offside as well. Matt O'Reilly, who's trying to get back to get in a position to maybe head the ball that's coming in, has took like a big sidestep with his left foot to get in a position, and it's his toe that's playing Pedro onside. So we just weren't meant to win it. I think all of these defeats trigger conversations about the quality in the team. I don't think there's any getting away from that. I don't think supporters should criticise the fact that that's what happens after these games. I think in games in Europe where Celtic's deficiencies and weaknesses are shown and we end up on the losing side, people are always going to talk about the quality that's in the team. I don't think you can debate the fact that if we had a bit more quality, we might have been able to win that game on Wednesday night. Now, it might have played out the exact same way. You never know. I think that's what I'm getting at there with the closeness of those two calls, the Palma offside, the tiniest wee nick off Maeda, how close Pedro was to being offside, despite the fact it was a brilliant header. It just felt like we weren't meant to win the game. But again, it doesn't detract away from the fact that people will talk about the recruitment. And I know that it's far too early to judge some of these players. Some of them are injured, some of them haven't played a lot, but those are the reasons that people are criticising it, because we're in October, we've played 2 Champions League games, we've got summer signings who haven't made an impact, summer signings who are injured and haven't played yet. That the jury's out on all of that, and I don't think we should run away from conversations about that, or supporters should be criticising other supporters for talking about that after every Champions League game. That's the reality of it. That's what's going to happen. When we end up on the losing side and our deficiencies are showing up, people are going to talk about why we have deficiencies and how we might have avoided them. But having said that, I wasn't straight to the recruitment point after the game. I was gutted. I thought that the players deserved better from the game. I thought they all performed well, generally speaking. I thought the manager, I don't think MD can criticise the manager, by the way. I think it's way out of line to be finding a way to criticise Brendan Rodgers for One, the fact that the build-up was maybe a wee bit too slow, because I think that was the thing that controlled the game for us in the second half. And certainly not criticising them for bringing Carter Vickers into the game as if it was just fine when Nat Phillips on, because Nat Phillips has played no football at all. He's played 45 minutes when he arrived, having played no football for months. And then he played half an hour at Motherwell 3 days before the Lazio game. So I don't think you can criticise Brendan Rodgers for bringing the best defender at the club into the game with half an hour left when he was fit enough to do so. Yes, he makes a mistake for the goal. He gets crowded out by a lot of Lazio players. I think structurally there's something wrong there. Of course, he could just boot it away and deal with it. But I don't think you can point blame at the manager for bringing him on. I thought tactically Brendan Rodgers got it spot on, and I think he's getting a performance level out of these players which is better than the sum of their parts. I think, again, might come back to the quality point. If he had a couple of more quality players, what could he do with them? Could he coach a better level out of those guys as well? Because I think that performance in the second half, certainly with 10, 15 minutes to play, you're thinking we can win this here, and then 3 points in the group totally changes the complexion. And obviously the biggest sucker punch of the whole lot is that losing that second match day means third place is a hiding to nothing. Like, we're going to finish bottom of the group, short of getting a miracle over these two games against Atletico Madrid, who are the best team in the group by a mile. I watched their game against Feyenoord the other night. They've got the most quality by a country mile, or getting something away from home. We're going to come to that game. Feyenoord are on 4 points now. Unless we get something for one of those away games, we're going to come to that Feyenoord game at Celtic Park in the last match day and have nothing to play for, which is so frustrating. It is. But anyway, that's it for Wednesday. Kilmarnock tomorrow. The team have got to bounce back. I'm sure they'll be motivated to do so. Back to domestic duty Saturday. Rangers play on Sunday against St Mirren, who are second. Rangers are third. We're 7 points ahead of Rangers. It's an opportunity to go 10. They got beat in Cyprus on Thursday night. It's a great chance for us to just widen that gap and go further ahead of both St Mirren and Rangers before they play on Sunday. We obviously lost at Kilmarnock in the League Cup. Dreadful performance that day. I think we're in a much better place now. I would expect a much higher level of performance, a much more cohesive performance. I think that's what we've seen in recent weeks. Maybe not against Motherwell at times, I accept that, but the performance during the week was much, much better. I mean, it looked like a much better unit. And I think tomorrow, building on that home form, which has got much better, I have to say, since that St Johnstone game, we've got to build on that, put another good performance in, and get 3 points to put us at least 10 clear of Rangers, who are in terrible nick. It's great to watch, and that's a really tricky game for them on Sunday at St Mirren. So let's get to the team then, and we'll start in goals with Joe Hart. He didn't have too much to do the other night. He had one great save from Immobile, but it ended up offside in the first half. We should deal better with the corner as a team. As a defence, we should deal better with the corner. Scales and O'Reilly should both be braver with the first ball for the corner, for the Lazio equaliser. Because I think it's Vicino that puts it in, he gets the slightest wee nod on it and it changes direction, which means Joe Hart can't get a strong hand on it. It goes over the line. And then, to be fair, he's helpless at Pedro's winner. It's one of those headers where he's putting it back where it comes from, but he's also taking all of the pace from the ball just to guide it. He almost just lets it hit off his head. It's a great technique. It's a great goal. And it leaves Joe Hart helpless, and it just trickles in. It looks like somebody should get there because it takes so long to trickle in at the back post, but it's just a great header. I don't think he could have done too much about it. He'll come back to league duty, replacing Scott Bain for Fir Park last week. His suspension is over. Johnston at right back. I think Carter Vickers will come back in to start. He's the best defender at the club. He's clearly fit enough to play. Mistakes happen to all players. at some stage. He's only just back from a long spell out. I don't have any questions about him coming straight back into the team. We need his stability. We need the confidence that he brings to the whole defence, the whole back four. And I think Scales will play in alongside him. A lot of really high praise for Scales the other night, and I can see why. I think on the ball, he was really brave, he was really courageous. He made some mistakes on it, but there was times where he brought it out, and I have to say there was times where he played the more awkward pass. There was times where he took a slight risk and he got it right more often than not. Maybe a wee spell after the Lazio equaliser where he turned it over once or twice and we were in real danger. But I have to say, given what we expected from having to play Scales for a few months, what it looked like, I think we were all fearful. He stood up well. There's no doubt about that. I think you can see there is deficiencies there. There's no getting away for that. As I say, either him or O'Reilly should have been braver at the corner to deal with it and clear the danger. And as I say, maybe just one or two bits on the ball, but I agree, he's played well, and I think that's why I've put him in here, and I'm not saying that Lagerbielke should start ahead of him, because for that token he's been much, much better than Lagerbielke, who joined the club for £3.5 million in the summer. Greg Taylor at left back, I think him and Scales had their work cut out, because Lazio were constantly targeting that channel, trying to find Felipe Anderson. Every time Luis Alberto got on it, he was looking for that diagonal, and he pinged it straight to Anderson's feet a couple of times. And luckily enough, we got off with them. The big one being in the second half, where Anderson just takes far too long. But they were tested at times in that game. But I think Carter Vickers coming back will help everybody be more settled. And at home in the league, we want to build on that clean sheet we had the last time against Dundee. We need to keep clean sheets at home, and the reason I'm looking forward to Carter Vickers coming back into the team is because we need to stop giving up chances. We gave up too many chances again against Motherwell last week at Fir Park. We can't keep giving up cheap chances, and Carter Vickers is the biggest factor in stopping that happening. Midfield, McGregor, a wee bit of debate about him on social media. Some people just don't seem to take to him. I don't know if it's because they don't quite understand his role. They seem to think that he goes missing something. I mean, that shout that he went missing the other night is ludicrous, because he was brilliant. I thought he was really good in the game, Callum McGregor. No doubt he'll play tomorrow. Matt O'Reilly I expect to play as well, who was really, really good. As I say, between him and Scales, he should do better. It's the third time I've said it. I'm not going to go over it again, but that assist for the first goal is sublime. The ability to just judge the weight of Maeda's pass, open up his left foot, and just get the perfect weight on it to meet Kyogo's run. Kyogo's movement's brilliant, obviously inside the fullback, but Matt O'Reilly's pass just makes the whole goal. It was brilliant. I thought he was really good for vast spells in the game, Matt O'Reilly. That's the kind of performance we've been looking for in the Champions League from him. Hopefully it's something he can build on. He's really grown this season. He's one that I think Brendan Rodgers has improved. I think we're seeing much better levels from him this season than last, and long may it continue. I've kept Rio Hatate in. I would like to see a start for Bernardo. I just don't think Brendan Rodgers will do it. I put Bernardo in against Livingston and I got stung with that because he didn't even get off the bench that day. He did come off the bench on Wednesday. I thought he looked relatively bright and tidy in the time that he was on the pitch. Hatate does look off for him. There's no getting away from that. He took a blow against Motherwell and his eye was already swollen up, and then 10 minutes into the game Husai punches him, which should have obviously been sent for a VAR review, and I think probably should have been a red card for Lazio. But I don't think that helped him. There's a close-up at one point in the game and his eye looked bloodshot as well as swollen. I don't think that's easy to play. When you're in midfield, you need to be constantly aware of your surroundings. You rely a lot on your peripheral vision. But there's no doubt, aside from all that, he is off form. He's not the player that we've seen last season. He has to find that hunger again. We hoped that he would settle after the contract. I know it's only been a few games. But I really hope he can find form, play through this, because we know that he's got the ability to be a top player for us. But there's no doubt he's just not quite there at the minute. Dyson Maeda on the left. I'm going to put Lewis Palma. Dyson Maeda on the right. I'm going to put Lewis Palma on the left. And obviously Kyogo through the middle. I thought Maeda was good for spells the other night. He's exactly as you would expect Maeda to be. A really good part in the first goal, coming in off the line, getting past the fullback, laying it into O'Reilly. He has that one 10 minutes later though, where if Kyogo runs onto it, you fancy him to put us 2-0 ahead, but Dyson Maeda gets there and he just panics. It's on his left foot and he claffs it across the goal. That's what we've come to expect from Maeda in those sorts of positions. But I thought it was a decent outing from him the other night. I would say much better than the performance he put in against Feyenoord. On the left hand side, Yang started on Wednesday. I don't think he was too bad. I thought he was much better on Wednesday than he was at Fir Park, that's for sure. He still needs to polish up that decision making, when to release the ball, when to pass it, when to cross it. He still needs to get better at all of that. But it was a much better outing from him than last Saturday. I've went with Palma because I was encouraged by his performance. I think you can tell the glaring thing he lacks in his game is pace, but I think he's got the thing that Yang hasn't, and that he's more likely to make something happen with his end product, whether that be a shot, a cross, finding a goal. I think it was a really good finish. The offside goal, he cuts inside, gets himself that half yard, gives the keeper the eyes to finish into the near post. It was a great goal, apart from the fact it was offside, of course. But I think he's shown some promise, and I think at £3.5 million, he's the player that should be starting in these games. When Abad is out, no one else has really nailed down that position. He's got to be proven to Brendan Rodgers that he should be the starter in that left wing position. I think Brendan Rodgers, again, this is for watching the game on the TV, which I don't do often, but it cut to him a couple of times, and I think it was Palma that he was frustrated at in certain aspects of his game. And you know that Rodgers likes to coach the players, and they'll have very specific instructions. So I just wonder if there's something maybe in training, or when he gets time in the game, that maybe doesn't suit Brendan Rodgers just yet to start him week in and week out. But I'd like to see him get the nod tomorrow. Through the middle, Kyogo, absolutely delighted for him to get his first Champions League goal. I thought the movement was brilliant, as I said earlier on. He finished it through the goalkeeper's legs. There was a brief second where I thought he was going to miss it because it was straight at the keeper, but can't take it away from him. It was a good finish, and it was brilliant to see him score at that level. Removes any doubts from the doubters. I can't believe anyone ever did doubt it that he would score at that level. He's a total born goal scorer, so important for this team. And there you go, that's 11 I think the manager will pick tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed my rambling. I've had a lot to get off my chest while I've been lying ill all week, bottling everything up. So there you go, tomorrow we will be back with the full-time reaction, and it will be the return of the post-match pint from Malone's. It's been a long time. I think Flag Day was the last time we'd done a post-match pint. There's a number of reasons for that, but looking forward to it tomorrow. I know everyone loves a post-match pint, so join us for that. Subscribe so you get notified as soon as it's uploaded. We'll see you tomorrow after the game. Thank you.